I don't consider Arkwright a game. I consider it a job or a task of some sort.
The cost to pay them goes up as more of them are off the board. But then there's more people. Yeah, how to play it. Yeah, just a little bit. Once you're doing it, then there's the markers, the thumbs up. You can prove. Right?
Why you do this?
And how many? Okay.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This will be another Justin and Max review of...
Oh, brother. Arkwright. And it's a game by CG Games, designed by Stefan Risthaus. They say 12 and up. You're 12 and up. You're 13 and up. But I don't think most kids...
that are
12 would really... I don't know that they would not be able to play it, but enjoy it as much as you obviously enjoyed it. They said it's 150 minutes. He really likes this game. They say it's 150 minutes. It took us... We took a break in the game, right?
Yeah, I'm like... okay, halftime. My brain's done.
And I think...
you're just angry just about it.
Okay, I'll start with saying that it is a good game.
Yes.
I like the game. Well, I don't know if... See, that's the thing. I think it's a very good game, but the brain burn is so severe that my level of enjoyment was mitigated by the fact that my emotional status went just completely numb. I think that's my review of the game. I was numbed by the game. There's been a lot of, let me first start off with the rule books.
Oh, yeah.
And there's the issue. Plural rule books. So you could play an easier version of the game called Spinning Jenny, and then there's something in the middle called like Spinning Mule or something like that. So it starts off with the player's book and then how to play Waterframe. This is the more, I guess, extensive.
What I don't like is that this is basically the same rulebook, because this is how to play the base game, and then this is all of this information is in here. They just have some extra stuff in a different color that would apply to Waterframe only. Right. So they could have just kept this one book, and then it just says if you want to play Spinning Jenny, ignore everything in brown.
Right. Yeah. That would have been a much. Just ignore the other things.
You don't even need this.
And from every other person that has played this game, they say sort of Spinning Jenny doesn't have as much dynamicism in the game. And
if you're going to play Arkwright, you got to go all the way.
Go Waterframe. You have to do Waterframe.
And the rulebooks also...
are not the best.
They are... I'm just going to go with it. Terribly written.
You think they're terribly written?
It took both of us a combination of 3 weeks.
Not 3 weeks. A week.
It took you a week. And it took me a day.
Yeah, and then we combined and we talked to each other about
he couldn't figure it out, and then I semi-figured it out, which opened the gateway for you to finish out the rest of it.
And, thank goodness that there's some videos online of people playing and explaining the game. But the fact that the game is so complicated, in some ways, means that you have to watch a lot of videos, time-wise. It's a lot of time investment just to get the thing to the table. But it didn't actually take so long to explain the game to someone who had, mom, who knew nothing about it. You have already a face about it. I think the issue is that it wasn't terribly written. Everything does make sense.
No.
I think the organization is really complicated. Yeah, maybe it's...
Yeah, because I'm just going to read this little section. If a player uses the inventor, he may modernize a factory to a level that is one level higher than the current level of the timeline. They use level 3 times.
In a sentence, yeah, you try to avoid those kinds of things. And don't forget, this is also translated. I think it's a German game originally.
I wonder if it makes sense if you're reading it from the German-based or correctly translated.
Perhaps. The art is kind of cool. It's very muted. It's, gives you this idea of the early 19th century
and it's not too
mechanism. It's not distracting at all. In fact, if you show the board is not very exciting.
No.
There's not much like to look at. You have just statistics. It's all statistics. You have your track, which tells you what the value of your stock is, and then how much you would have to buy, how much it would cost to buy stock. You have the events basically that are occurring in the game. Then each player has how much, their fee that they have to play, their administrative fee that they have to pay. See, I'm confused even just remembering about this. We played this once about a month ago.
And you were just like...
It was so much, it was overload of information. Basically, you have your factories. Everyone has a player board and you can build factories. And so that's a very Euro thing, you're building your factories. Plus also when you pop the game out, the tiles, there's so many of them and they're not really...
I'm just going to emphasize the amount of pieces.
I wish in the player's book, this would have been so helpful. They should give a list, or whichever one, water frame. Get us a lot of things. See, here you go. They give you a list of all the game components, but then they don't give you pictures of what the components were, so you have to try to figure out...
Yeah, that was funny.
What is what?
It's like... And then you can place a goods token.
Well, unless you know the game already and have read everything, like, I don't know what a goods token is. That would have been so helpful. Maybe 1 or 2 pages with little pictures of each of the token types. I didn't even know what were player pieces versus other things. And then some things only go with the spinning jenny, I think. And then some of them only with the spinning mule. I printed out something from Board Game Geek that was also sort of someone made a really cool little book that had a summary. England, 1760 to 1810. And then each player, this is helpful though.
Yes.
Each player gets a sequence of play and then what the action markers are. I think a couple interesting things about the game are the action markers, meaning what actions you're going to take on your administrative fees. Whoa. Your administrative fees. Once you get the game organized on the table, which takes some time to figure out even how to organize it, how many pieces of certain things come out.
Wait, where does that go?
Is the bonus tiles that you get. This is the only game I know. Usually games that you get like a bonus tile, something that you can do that I can't do. You hold on to it for the rest of the game, and you could do that and hold on.
And a couple are immediate spends, but that's
right.
The same as many games.
But you're constantly the dynamicism, or if that's a word, I don't know. The dynamic aspect of which bonus tiles you take, when you take them, and then how you implement them, knowing that if you have more than 4, you have to get rid of 1, and then you take another one. So your advantages constantly are changing. Oh yeah, there's little slots for it. Yeah. And why don't we hold this up? This is a picture of the main board.
Mm-hmm. Or this player board.
Player board, and then
it seems kind of a little boring, but also kind of confusing at first.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on with like the different tracks and all those numbers and more numbers.
It's all numbers. This game. It's all numbers, and a lot of rules to remember. But that's okay. I don't mind a lot of rules to remember, but it's entirely calculating, constantly calculating. How many goods am I going to produce? Mm-hmm. How much do I have to pay my workers? How much workers should I have in order to produce the amount of goods? How much do you have of each of those things? Because at the end of each quarter year, you'd have to sell the goods you have of that type.
If you sell the most, you get a bonus.
If you sell the most.
If you sell at least 2.
Right, yeah. If you sell the most, if you sell at least 2.
There's a lot of small rules in every aspect.
And then you have your storehouse. And then you didn't even ship. You could ship things overseas.
I hate shipping.
Max didn't ship at all, and he won the game handily. So I almost wonder about that strategy, unless I play. Then if you try to do a contract,
and you don't complete it,
the contract gets larger, so you could spiral down, which reminds me a little bit of that game. Antiquity, where in Antiquity, if you don't have
wood,
or you're not producing enough food, you're done, and it just spirals out of control. No one spiraled in this game out of control. The one where we played.
But you guys did have a couple big contracts that you had to pay to get.
Yes, and if you don't at the end, you end up getting some big negatives.
What it ended up being for you guys, it's like you lost 8 and gained 4.
Right, and you're gaining. When you sell and get some money, you're gaining so little. at a time. You're just sometimes just breaking even just to have a bigger factory. Then you might edge up a little bit. It's a recreation of what it is like to run multiple businesses.
And it was funny.
Yeah.
There was one round where you sold like 18 different things, and you ended up spending $1 for paying your people.
Oh right, yeah, because then you have to pay your people. So you you sell a lot.
Pay all of them.
Pay all of your guys, and the cost to pay them goes up as more of them are off the board. But then there's more people. Yes. Now
I think that just. What is the premise of the game?
Yeah, the art, I mean, then you have the machines and some of the events that can come out.
Oh, the events.
The events that can come out like that at the end of every year to see what's going to happen the next year. Some of them could be very negative.
Some of them could be positive.
Some of them could be positive if you're in a certain situation.
The positive ones never counteract the negative ones. The negative ones are always more negative than the positive ones are positive.
Then also, I forgot to say, we're also fighting the game. There is like, I can't remember what they call it in the game.
It's the neutral seller.
The neutral seller, right? And he's going up every round a little bit. So you're fighting against other people. You're fighting against the game. You're fighting against your own brain.
It's like, come on.
Now the game design is very solid. The strategies, I could tell, can be very complex and very deep. I'm just not sure if it's a game for me in terms of level of interest in. I mean, I'll play it with you anytime because you really enjoyed the game a lot.
I love the game.
Yeah, he loved the game, and he's a math dude.
I'm trying to think.
If that's the word, dude.
Dude. But I think this is gonna be a lot higher than you. But I'm gonna give the game a rating
Of
8.75.
8.75. So what things did you find that didn't give it a 10 for you? Like things that detracted it?
So the shipping, I didn't do it because every time I could have done it, it would have been, like, I calculated it, and it just would have lost me to tens of dollars.
Okay, so
Or tens of thousands, because all of them are thousands.
Right, or thousands.
And then I saw all of you guys, you and our third player, losing a lot of points with them, so I decided not to use those.
I figured it was something that you're supposed to do. And the restrictions on how to ship are so... The ship size.
I also barely used this. I just had the one guy there.
Oh, yeah,
I tried to sell...
We didn't talk about this. This is the warehouse.
This is the warehouse.
Which you have to have manned.
Because you have to put a person... If you put a person here, all of those will be open. A person there, those will be open. Or a person there for all of one color.
And if you produce goods that you can't store and you can't sell...
They go there.
Yeah, and if they can't
store,
store,
then they go.
Then they go. I'm going to give the game... you said 8.75, right? I'm actually giving the game a 7. And because 7 to me means solid. Like, I don't see any major errors. The thing that doesn't make it an 8, a 9, or definitely not a 10 for me is the level of interest that I personally had with what was going on. I would definitely play it again just for the experience of it, which is long. Not excessively long. Involved.
It's long. It's involved.
And it's punishing.
It's punishing. It's brain burning. And it's... You just sort of say, why you do this?
Like a game like Gaia Project, which takes about 2 hours when we play it. You see,
nothing to this one.
No, it's still very complex.
It's still very complex.
The strategies
but it's not as brain harassing as this game.
Brain harassing. That's a new good term. And this game is very dry. You set up how you score, and then also you don't have any points. You have to sell. You have to buy your points, and know when to do it.
I don't consider Arkwright a game. I consider it a job or a task of some sort.
It's really a recreation of a stock market and running businesses and competing with unknown events.
Fun.
You didn't find it fun?
No.
Yeah, it's not that fun.
It was. The game has no fun, but it was fun how it had no fun. If that makes sense.
Okay, I'll go with that. Yeah,
it was so boring. It was funny.
But you enjoyed it, I thought.
It's a great game.
Yeah. See, it's very conflicted there. For me, though, I thought I was going to see like my factories grow, and I'm going to have a good time, and my shipping is going to go well. You
ended up having 2 factories, and you lost money every time you sold.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like this beatdown. I guess maybe my personality, or my knowledge, and my abilities, and my skill isn't into running
No,
a
because
business.
a lot of games have, if you try to do something, throughout the game it will get better and better. This game, throughout the game, it will get worse and worse.
Worse and worse,
With
or
the
a little bit
occasional
neutral. Yeah. I don't know. You know what? For those of you who are really interested in learning something that's going to take a while to get your head wrapped around it, I think if we played it again, it wouldn't take that long to remember how to play it. Yeah, just a little bit. Once you're doing it, it's actually, I'll just do that tile and I'll do that. Anyway, so I gave it a 7. You gave it 8.75.
So it would be 7.875.
7.875?
Because if you do that, then it's 7.75, 8.
And then somewhere in
25,
between.
and then 12.
You know what? Let's just give it a 7.9.
7.9
7.9.
is the official
Justin and Max Games review of